Hello everyone, Usman here. Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be doing my spoiler review for episode 8 of What If. In this episode, it is basically about what if Ultron won, which is what didn't happen in the main MCU timeline. And Ultron didn't win. He wasn't able to use Vision as his vessel or something in order to, do crazy like world conquest type of stuff. He wasn't able to do that originally in the main MCU timeline, but in this episode it's like, what if he won? What if he's able to do just that, and then he was able to rule the world and do a lot of things. So in this episode, he went after the Avengers. Obviously, he defeated all the Avengers. I think probably killed them, except for the likes of Hawkeye and Black Widow. Hawkeye and Black Widow are the only ones that are actually alive. They're basically fighting like an army of like Ultron bots. That was like the opening of this episode, and that was a pretty cool, sick fight scene that they had. The biggest thing that stood out to me was probably just like the Watcher. So the Watcher is basically a character that can't intervene in anything like that because, he'll, I guess in a way, it'll jeopardize, if I'm not mistaken, it'll basically jeopardize like the multiverse if he does intervene. I think in one of the other previous episodes of the show, like the Watcher wanted to intervene because of like what Doctor Strange was doing. In the Doctor Strange episode, he wanted to intervene, but he didn't end up doing that because, he was just like, oh, this will jeopardize the multiverse, so I'm going to make sure not to do so. Obviously, in this episode, he didn't do it, really. He didn't intervene. He was just like, he was aware of, like, Ultron being a threat and this thing happening. Ultron, which is, like, which took over the Vision's body as, like, the vessel, was able to indicate that there's someone beyond here. Why stop at one universe when I can take over so many other universes? So he finds the Watcher, because the Watcher's like, narrating. He narrates the entire series. And so he basically just like attacks him and there's like a crazy multiverse type of like fight going on. And it's a cool scene. And you get to see the Watcher actually use his abilities. Because I feel like the Watcher, in certain iterations I've seen him in, I could be wrong, I never really saw him like do any crazy like fighting of any kind. He's usually just been like a guy who just watches things, so from a distance. But then you saw him in this, and then it's like, wow, he actually looks really cool in this. So that's what I really appreciated about this episode. You got to show the Watcher fighting Ultron. But yeah, it was like the Vision, and it was a combination of the Infinity Stones, because there was a part of the episode where he was Vision with Ultron's like thing, which was Ultron. There's a scene where like Thanos comes through the portal, and he has the Infinity Gauntlet. He's like this. And then all of a sudden, Vision he has some of the stones. Ultron, he's able to use his stone that he has, like I think the Mind Stone. He was able to use it against Thanos. Really what he did was like he just shot at him, and then he just like split in half. And that was pretty easy. That was a cool part of the episode as well. I mean, I really like this episode, I think, more than last week's episode. Last week's episode wasn't terrible, but I thought it was the weakest of the series so far. I just thought that this episode was just executed way better. Like, I think it was a way better episode. Like, it was a little bit darker. They met up with Arnim Zola. He's the villain from, the Captain America movies, like the first two Captain America movies. He knows, like, different things about Ultron and how to probably defeat him. And then, Hawkeye and Black Widow, they go over to him, and they're like, how do we defeat Ultron? And then the ending of the episode is, like, where the Watcher is basically defeated. He couldn't defeat Ultron at all. He's lost. He's just like, I don't know what happened. And then he meets, like, the evil Doctor Strange type of character from the Doctor Strange episode, and he's like, you know what? This thing happened. We don't know what's going on. And so they both decide to team up at the end of it, and the Watcher is like, yeah, I need your help in order to stop Ultron because he's the biggest threat to the multiverse. Ultron, he was teased at the end of the last episode, which was like the Thor episode. He was teased at the end of that episode. And also, like I said, he's kind of like going to be the main villain. There's only 9 episodes of the series, because originally I thought, oh, there's going to be 10 episodes. But it's like, no, it's 9. It's 9 episodes. I think they couldn't do that 10th episode because I think I read up on an article that because of the pandemic, they weren't able to make an episode 10. Ultron, yeah, he was just so power hungry. He wanted to take over every sort of universe, every sort of world. He had that sort of the lust for destruction and chaos, and just like almost every other sort of character out, supervillain in the MCU. Like, that just made it even more just insane. And then Captain Marvel goes after him, and then she ends up getting killed, I think, by him. Ultron did a lot of crazy, horrible, terrible things, had that same goal in that movie, but he failed. But then if you got to see his plans went through the way that he wanted to, you get to see that he actually unleashed a lot of just destruction and mayhem, and just like, oh gosh, I can't wait to see what happens. And I think they'll probably have like a multiverse type of Avengers type of thing that they're going to showcase in the next episode, so that's going to be a big deal. So I'm all on board for this. As always, like, subscribe, all that amazing stuff, and I'll see you next time.